talk to me about some of the feelings and the thoughts that you used to feel that made it really difficult to like take the leap.
So I think there's a couple things. So first off, the first step of change. So anybody who's studied like change management or studied leadership, there is a framework called Cotter's 8 stages of change. So it basically talks about if you want to change anything, whether it's people, yourself, an organization, or whatever, here are the 8 steps to a change actually happening. And the very first step of change is creating a sense of urgency. And so for me as a educator, and at the time that I started my business, I was a principal. In order for me to have even thought of the idea of a business or to thought of something different, I have to have a reason to want to change my current reality. So there has to be some level of urgency that is going to propel me to do something different than what I'm already doing. And I think there's a little side note, but it's an important note. I think that's why a lot of people think they're struggling in business when really they're just comfortable. Like they haven't created a sense of urgency yet, particularly if you're side hustling in your business. You have a level of comfort because you're still getting a check from your 9 to 5. So you have to manufacture your own urgency. And that can look like, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. I have X, Y, and Z. Your urgency can come from your present or it can come from your future, right? And your present might be, I have these things that I'm tired of having to do. I'm tired of feeling nervous every time I get a something in the mail that looks like a bill. Because now this sum is like, well, I don't really have it. And I got to figure out how to pay it. So I get a little nervous. I would get nervous. I remember a time when I would put my card in the machine at the grocery store or out shopping or whatever. And the moment it was like more than 2 seconds.
You'll be like,
I was like, wait a minute, what's he getting ready to say? Like, wait a minute, what's happening?
Check that account real quick.
So I was like, whoop. But obviously, so it's those things, I still have vivid memories of. And that was also a part of what was my level of urgency, and a part of, what I consider to be my rock bottom moment was I was a principal. We got paid once a month. I was underpaid and also was a human being with expenses. And I had a moment where I only had $50 until my next paycheck. And I was like, it's too tight. And I can't make it. And I was a principal, right? And which just speaks to how drastically underpaid we are. It's not that I was irresponsible with my money. The reality is we live in a country that we are not paid sufficiently, right? And in education, our pay does not reflect our impact. So I go to get a loan. I get in my car, drive to the spot to get the loan, sign for the check, get the check in hand, get in my car on the way to the bank to cash the check, and I run out of gas. So here I am, the principal of a school of more than 1,000 kids. I manage a staff of over 100 people, and I am on the side of the road with no gas, less than $50 in my bank account with a check that I don't even have enough gas to cash. That's right. Crazy. And so for me, there was this sense of urgency. I was like, I cannot continue to do this. I'm in North Carolina and I got to call my mama in Columbus, Ohio to get her AAA to come and give me gas. And I'm a principal. Right. And so I was like, I cannot continue to do this. Something has got to change. And I think, and I didn't know it at the time, but I can articulate it now because my first strategy was let me budget. That was the first thing.
So I'm sure people are wondering like your roles within your business and how you guys are managing various things. But how do you, as like if out there other couples are trying to figure out like, okay, how do we work together and like what do I do versus what my spouse does? What does that look like for you guys as far as roles with managing your real estate business?
That's a good one.
Because you guys are doing what type of rental strategy?
We're doing short-term rental.
Short-term rental, 4-unit property. Yes. Okay.
And we're very different. JJ and I are like night and day. And it's so funny because I'm the numbers girl. I'm the chart. I'm like, it has to make sense to me. He's the visionary. He could see a space and I'm just like, what the heck is this? And he's already seeing what's in it. So it takes a lot of communication and it takes trust. Like I have to trust in his abilities. And I think that's where we kind of struggled at first. Because I'm like, but I'm like, this is what he does. Like we had to sit down and be like, this is for us to recognize his strengths and my strengths.
Yeah.
And I have to trust in his strengths and he has to trust in mine, you know? And I think has helped us a lot.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Because even in this process, like we kind of noticed where we fit in, like from the acquisition of the property and all that kind of stuff. I was like, all her, you know what I mean?
And was searching properties and doing offers and working with the agent and all that.
Yeah.
JJ, like, let me know when you.
Right. You know, we sat and we talked constantly and like, and we threw things back and forth. But I 100% got to say, man, that was her. Her thing, and she did a phenomenal job at it. When it kind of turned over, and then we actually got the property, it's almost like my brain just like clicked, and I'm like, I'm all in, you know. So like,
okay,
she's Homer.
So that's where I came in. You know, I love renovations and rebuilds, and you know, I've been doing that for a while. So like, once I come in, I see all the things that need to get fixed, and then I start, you know, creating a list for ourselves, and these are the things we need to do so that we can, you know, launch our Airbnb, so that insurance can, like, you know, cover us, you know, with this new process of buying this property, and all that. And then I started looking at the landscape. Okay, if we are going to Airbnb, then these are the softwares we need, and this is what we need to set up, and this is how we need to go, and we need to buy linens, and we need to do this. And I mean, and then we just kind of like go through that process, and I realized that's kind of where I started like shining, and we both work together in that respect now. But I think right now that's kind of been more of where I've been kind of like taking the lead on that part.
And in every phase, what's been neat, and I think sometimes you have to say it out loud. Like sometimes it'd be like, okay, I think the financial part is my part, you know? Because sometimes I assume that he knows, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, then we start bumping heads. So so that's been just communication, lots of communication.
Yes. Well, okay. What does communication look like for you guys now, being new investors branching into this lane? Like, and then you guys are like really busy because you do real estate development kind of for your job in addition to also doing your own real estate development now. So you're like really busy. So what is like give me some examples of how communication works within y'all's relationship with this.
Having meetings, like we'll have financial meetings. I love that. Like, and I'm a visual person, so I'm always the one with the spreadsheet
and the pie chart.
That's me. And also sometimes his mind works different from mine. So sometimes even though he'll say something, I'll have to be like, I need more information. Because sometimes he'll be like, this, or I'll be like, this. So we'll have like tag words that we have to say, like, and for me, it's like, oh, I need a little more information. Like almost like saying, slow down. I don't get it. I'm not getting it. And I noticed like we would talk a lot, but then sometimes even the talking, we would assume we got it, like it absorbed, but it didn't. So I have to actually be like, okay, I need more information. And then that means we stop, put phones down or whatever, and actually like peel it back, figure it out, hash it out.
I think that was the biggest thing. It's like not only like communicating, but understanding like your partner a little bit. And we're still understanding each other, so don't get it like we got it. You know what I mean?
We all on this journey.
But you know, like I think when she, like, cause me, I keep everything inside. I don't know why. You know what I mean? Like I have all these things. I'm like, I know I got to do all these things, and then I just start doing them. You know what I mean? But then it's like I need
tunnel
like
vision is what I call it. That's kind of how I operate.
So I just do it. But then her just being like, I need more. And then I have to just start, you know, spitting
like
all that
alert.
out.
Oh, okay. I need to actually communicate.
And then, but that used to be a point of contention for us. You know what I mean? That used to be an area where we argue. But then her just, she finally got to the point where she was like, I get that's kind of how his brain works. So she was like, let me just ask these questions. And then I'm like, then I give her those things. And then vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and you have to look at it like, because, you know, Satan can creep in and be like, she's just trying to nag me. So that you have to look like, oh, okay, it's not that she's trying to nag me. She's trying to understand me.
Exactly. You know?
And to help with that, because before I used to be like, how I would say it would come across like, you know, like, come on, like, I need to know. So now I'm saying stuff like, I need more information. Explain it to me. I don't understand. And I think that helps with any kind of defensive, because we're just trying to understand each other. We all have the same goal. It's just at this moment, I don't understand. Because even though he has tunnel vision, his tunnel vision has helped in areas, you know, where he could just focus. So I don't want him to feel bad about it, but I also don't want to be left in the dust. Like I need to understand.
That's really good. Y'all just help a lot of couples now with that scenario. That is so good. Rookie newbie investor mistake that I see investors make all the time is themselves. Your mindset holding you back. Okay, tell me if you can probably relate to one or two of these scenarios. You have too many options. You've watched too many YouTube shows. You've read too many books. You've attended too many conferences. And you got so many options, you don't even know which one to do first. Or you're so scared, you are so terrified. Like, you know you want it, you're thinking about doing it, but you're so terrified that it just scares you to even think about it, right? So if you're in a place where you have too much knowledge and you're not making a decision, and your biggest problem isn't that you don't know what decision to make. Your biggest problem is that your mindset is holding you back from actually taking action. Too much knowledge produces a lack of action. So what you actually need in order to feel comfortable to move forward is experience, okay? And so for the person who is just terrified and you have a lot of fear, but you don't actually know, you don't have the knowledge, your fear is an indication that you actually need to increase your knowledge, okay? And so recognizing that and recognizing how your mindset may be holding you back is the number one thing that is keeping you from becoming a real estate investor. For y'all who like, oh, I have a property management company, I'm good. That's a newbie investor mistake, because at the end of the day, when it comes to you, you are the asset manager, even if you have a property manager. So that's why it's important to get the right expert knowledge and advice to make sure you have all of your checks and balances and systems in place. That's what I love about the Owning and Living in Community, because we provide our students with tons of resources and checklists and modules and softwares and all those types of things to make sure that you guys have a plan for the things that you don't know that you may even have to deal with in the future. Newbie investor real estate mistake is dealing with contractors. And that's a whole situation in itself. Okay, contractors is probably the hardest part about real estate investing. It's definitely harder than finding the money. It's definitely harder than financing. You may think that it's financing and finding the money, but I'm telling you it's not. It's working with contractors, okay? You could be working with a contractor that is good for, man, they could be good for 5 years. I've had a contractor that we moving in group for 5 years, and year 5, I don't know what the hell happened to him. He lost his mind and I had to fire him, okay? And that's how contractors are. But the biggest newbie investor mistake I see is that for people who never have done renovations or anything like that, paying contractors money up front. I don't do it. I don't do it, okay? There are ways that you can get your renovation done, that you can get your project started without having to pay a contractor a lot of money up front. All right. And so that's a big newbie investor mistake that I've seen made. I have seen people that have hired contractors. They put down 50% up front because that's what they say the standard is. And they do 20% of the work and then they're done, right? Because they took that money that they got and they used it on another project. Or they took your money and they have to use it on materials for another project that they mismanaged from another project, okay? And that's how it works. So let me give you a quick tip of what I do to get around that. Recently, I had to replace a roof on one of my properties, and we're working with a new roofer that I've never worked with before. So again, I am not going to pay the money up front. They requested that the roof was around, $6,000, and he said, okay, I need 50% up front. I said, why? He said, for materials. I said, okay, no problem. I said, I'm not going to pay you the 50% up front, but what I can do is I can pay for the materials. I do what's called a phone sale. And Home Depot, Lowe's, all the major retailers do it, where the contractor, they go to the place, to the vendor, they pick up the materials, they do all the little things they need to do, and then they get to the Home Depot person or whatever the vendor is, and the vendor calls you. And then you can actually have the people on the phone verify what they are buying, okay? You have them verify what they are buying. You pay the vendor directly over the phone, online, whatever it is. The contractor has materials. They do the job. And then I pay them once the work is done. How did you overcome being afraid and, what if I can't pay my mortgage, or what if I can't find a roommate, or even what I hear mostly is, I'm grown, I don't want to live with other people.
The whole I'm grown, I don't want to live with other people thing never crossed my mind. I don't mind sharing in general. I don't mind sharing my space. I wanted to pay my mortgage. My comfort and growth was more important than any fear that I had. I think my fear was not doing it. I got sick of losing bidding wars and all of that stuff. So I was just like, what can I get right now?
Right.
This house made sense. It was not a multifamily, it was a single family. I'm not sure if I said that. So I made that work for me.
I'm just going to pivot my strategy that aligns with the current market so that I can still be able to experience this dream life that I want to experience in the future. Yeah. That's huge.
I think we're so used to our microwave society that we want, we want to go viral. We want quick, we want the success that people work 10 years for.
Right.
Instead of just doing the next step. It's pretty simple. And so for me, my growth has been slow growth. It's been baby step of faith, then the next baby step of faith. And it eventually all accumulates.
That's really good.
So it wasn't me getting a quad my first go round. I got a single family house. Didn't love it, but I liked it, and it worked for me, and it worked at the time, and it's still paying bills today.
Talk to me about what your support team looks like and the value of that additional support team and how that has impacted you in this journey.
Yeah.
As a single woman specifically.
First of all, a support team is necessary because you would just be out here. There's so much information out there. You'll know a lot of information, but the wisdom comes in is where and when to apply it and what works for you.
Your specific situation.
It's so many things. You could just get so lost in the information. The team is important in every aspect of it. Your team doesn't necessarily have to be all in mentorship roles. It could be friends who just support. I have friends who don't do real estate. They don't want to do real estate. They're I will just be a roommate. I don't want to even think about that. But they're the biggest cheerleaders and support whether they understand it or not. And when they're ready, I'm going to be come on.
Yes.
So it really just, you need all of them, but they don't all have to look the same.
The very thing that you think is holding you back is the very thing that may take you to the next level. And if you're out there and you're like, man, I don't have any money, I'm struggling paycheck to paycheck, you have gifts. You are worthy of wealth too. You are worthy of accomplishing your dreams too. And there are opportunities out there for you. You gotta bet on yourself and get yourself in the right rooms so that you can see what the treasures are around you once you give yourself a chance. One advice I would give to someone who is thinking about potentially doing business with their boo or significant other is to always continue to nourish your relationship, your friendship above anything. Your friendship that you have with one another is going to carry you and sustain you and help you to keep going during the really, really hard times.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And I think because we started out as friends, through all the things that we've been through, maybe I'll write a book one day and tell y'all a little bit. He's like, woo. Then that it would really help to be, beyond, of course, your relationship with God. Your friendship really helps to continue to grow your relationship as you go through these various seasons of 6-pack to thick chicks,
You still
and
fine.
all the above.
Still
Thank
fine,
you.
babe.
Thank you.
This is your partner. This is your friend.
Not your
what
enemy.
that was our thing.
Not your enemy. I'll be like, Lawrence, I'm not your enemy.
Yeah, you're not the enemy. I'm your friend. It's okay to remind each other every now and again because I tell you, listen.
Yes, because man, Satan be in your ear.
Be
like,
busy.
Man, he just trying to control you. He just trying to hold you down.
Those
sound
bites.
What he's trying to do.
And then you start remembering, 2 days ago, she did say those sound bites would get you every time.
Yeah.
So communicate well.
Work on your communication.
Yes, work on your communication so you can communicate well. Get you a nice friend group, support group, whatever. Self, prayer, wake up and just really nurturing your soul, those things to help, process the other parts of your life. So the holistic approach. What was that you said?
Work on your friendship.
Work on your friendship with one another. And there's so many more. Erika said she was going to write a book later. So y'all just, but no, seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't claim to know everything. We are still figuring a lot of this out. We want y'all to win. We want y'all to thrive. We want y'all to experience love and abundance and success and wealth so that you can live your life to the fullest of whatever God's calling you to do. So.
Yeah, because we don't put success in front of our marriage
Right.
or like, don't, all that is what it is,
Right.
but that ain't what we do.
Right.
So if y'all are like, oh, we got to reach that level of, well, what does that even look like? What does that mean? And you have to be able to understand what does that mean for y'all, because success may look different from your spouse and how you see it and how she see it, but understanding what that looks like in terms of walking in your genius.
Yep. And together as a family. I waited way too long to ask for help. Way too long to ask for help. And I still do this sometimes, and I have to catch myself and be like, okay, Erika, why are you doing that? And you know what it is. It's like when you have a problem, whether that problem is, I don't have money to buy my first investment property. Literally, it happens all the time. But for me, recently, I started the top of the year, and I had 19 units I needed to fill. I had 19 vacancies for my apartments and other properties that I needed to fill, and I was burnt out, overloaded, running a property management company on my own, and I was just trying to figure out, how do I overcome this huge obstacle that I'm having, okay? And I waited way too long to ask for help. So finally, when I went to my business partner, I gave him an update on what was happening, and basically it was just like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. What do we need to do to fix it? I got the help I needed. For me, that help was to actually hire a third-party property manager to manage my properties. For me, my love is coaching Black and brown people, helping y'all figure out how to overcome your limiting beliefs, how to find the money, how to finance the property, how to pick a market. I love doing, I could do that in my sleep. What's not my love is answering property management questions. It is trying to figure out why this toilet leaking. It is trying to figure out, how to approve this tenant for this application. That's not my love. One of my biggest mistakes that I don't want you to make is holding on to things that you need to delegate and let go. The quicker that you can recognize that you probably don't like, that this is not with your strength, and whatever your problem is does not align with what you naturally are good at, and the quicker you can bring on an expert to do it for you, to manage the process for you, the better. And I don't know what it is. Sometimes we can feel like, oh, well, I'll figure it out, I'll do it myself, or I can't trust someone else to do it. Honestly, now I end the year, all of my properties are fully occupied. They're all making money. And it was me who was actually costing me money, because I'm not an expert. I'm an amateur. And I was trying to act like I'm an expert when I really should have contacted the experts to solve the real problem. So number one, don't wait too long to hire the experts. So I want to get into talking about the support team. But before I jump into it, I want us to really define what that means for us. I want you to reimagine what support team looks like. Yes, it's important. Having that supportive group of community that will root you on and speak your name in rooms that you aren't even in is even more key to building wealth. The way I am going to teach you to build wealth is to do it by redesigning your life the way that you want it to be, not the way that society says it should be. So when I was in that place, when I realized that I was lonely and I needed more support and I needed more people around me, I felt seen. You may be like me when you get to the place where you're trying to figure out, where do I find that? So for me, I actually joined an online community. This is my first time where I actually paid to join an online community to find friends. I know it may sound weird to pay for friends, but in this case, where I had really amazing friends, but I didn't have any other women who were like me, who were breadwinners, who were building 7-figure businesses, who were real estate investors. I didn't have that in my circle. So instead of me just sitting at home, lonely, not feeling supported, I had to go out and find it for myself. So within that online community, I recognized that I was missing some of these key ingredients. So let me go through a few of the key ingredients of people who you need on your support team. 1, you need a cheerleader. And you know what I mean by cheerleader. You know how it is. It's like something fun happens and you're really excited and you call your husband and he's like, oh, okay. that may not work for you, right? Sometimes you need to call a friend that's going to hype you up and be like, yes, girl. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. That cheerleader, okay? Someone who truly, truly wants to see you win. Someone that has the gift of encouragement and affirmation. That's what I mean by cheerleader. Also, you need a truth teller, because sometimes you just need somebody that's going to tell you the truth and not just say yes, okay? You need someone who, for me, because I am such a direct person, sometimes I need that person where I can send that text to them to say, okay, this is what I want to say. And then they can read it and say, okay, yes, say this, but try this instead, right? We all need those truth tellers who are going to be honest with us, and they're also going to call us out on our own stuff, or that's going to like remind us of who we are when we're feeling down and we're feeling like that we don't measure up or that we aren't enough. We all need those truth tellers. Also, advice givers. I know some of you are like me, who you may have a question that's just like messing with you and you can't figure out the answer. So instead of you just asking a question to someone, you'll just sit there and just be stressed out for like the longest time, right? So there are people who really truly love giving advice. And you may be the kind of person that's like, well, I don't want to bug them or I don't want to burden them. No, having a friend that's an advice giver are those friends that love it. They thrive on helping people solve problems. What's so interesting is that I am that advice giver person, but sometimes we struggle with asking for the advice ourselves. But we all need someone that we can call and ask for advice too. And lastly, that advocate. Now, that advocate is that person who you know who is put here to see something in other people and to put them on beyond what they even thought they can do for themselves. Everyone needs an advocate, someone that's going to speak your names in rooms that you never even imagined that you would be in. What was that like for you to now be on the team and you still get to, use your strengths in the way that works for you, and then you also get to like learn to be mentored and still be able to, grow your business in the way that works for your life now?
Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you should do it.
Talk about that a little bit more. That's good.
It's taken me time in my mid-30s here to really like learn to listen to my own body and my own voice. It's impossible to listen to yourself and your body without slowing down.
Yeah.
And for me, I really learned so much through the mess of success.
Yes.
And wanting to, do this and that I had to there were so many times that I had the wrong mentors in my life. And I would go to these mentors and I'd be like, look, we're business planning for next year. And I don't want to sell more houses than I did last year.
Right.
I want to focus on this goal instead of those goals.
Yeah.
And no one had an answer for me.
Wow.
Nobody.
Wow.
And it was just like, I did not exist.
They didn't see you.
No.
They didn't see you. You didn't exist because they didn't see you.
I didn't fit the model. And so we just didn't know what to do with you. Or they just continued to try to force me into this model. And so I think just being able to take a step back and really ask myself. And I think what I realized was I don't really love being I thought I always wanted to be the number one in the room, I guess what you say, the biggest leader. I'm a natural born leader, always have been.
Yeah.
But I think what I've really realized is I love supporting a big leader more than I love being the big leader.
Yeah.
And so it just took a while to find you.
Oh, glad we found each other.
To find you. And so I think, it was scary. I was I think I know of Erika, but I really didn't know you.
Right.
And so to basically be yielding
to
a lot of your vision and a lot of what, you had in mind for your real estate team.
Right.
Was a big risk, but it's been awesome. And that might lead us into some investing questions because
that's where we're going next.
That was the added cherry on top because most people join your team to get the real estate investing mentor.
Right.
And what was my mindset when I joined your team with investing?
You didn't want to be an investor. She actually had an investment property and she sold it.
Yeah.
She was like, I don't want to do this. I'm not trying to be an investor. I just like how you have designed your life to work for you. And I was like, okay, well, my goal with everyone on my team is to, how can I, as a leader, help you be the best Adrienne the best person that you want to be. And that's my goal. I'm not trying to make you something that you don't want to be. And that's exactly what we do in the Owning and Living It community too. Like I want you to figure out what you want to do and let me know so I can help you get there. Right. Like that is my sauce right there. Yep.